My name is Kiley. I am 25 years old, newly 25. Born and raised in Quincy, Massachusetts, and this is my story. So, I was born back in the 90s, a good old 90s kid, born and raised in Squantum, and so the neighborhood is near and dear to my heart. Lived there for most of my childhood, growing up all the way until university, pretty much. But before we even get there, there's quite a bit that happened. So I was young, raised by my mom with an older sister, lived with my grandfather as well, and was very close with our whole family, aunts and uncles, and great aunts and uncles and cousins. We're a big Greek family, and so it is a big deal to be together almost all the time. So it was a huge blessing to grow up in that family in a very, very loving home. When I was 6 years old, my grandfather, unexpected to me, passed away, unfortunately. So that's when things really changed, and that's sort of the beginning of my walk with God. Really, he had seen me, had known me, of course, for much longer than that, but that's when I came to know him. When I was 6 years old or so, my home life just became much more turbulent. It was something that was filled with drugs and alcohol, the struggles of a single mother that come naturally, and just eventually the family sort of falling apart. And so it became a very lonely place in our home. And I threw myself into school, and I threw myself into any activity I could. So more often than not, I would try and be out of the house because that felt safer and more comfortable. But when it came to the weekends, of course, you can't go to school. You can't always walk over to a friend's house or go to the park and find people to hang out with. So I would sort of walk around the neighborhood on weekends and just putz around and find something to do and fill my time with. And that's when I realized that at the very top of the hill I grew up on, there was a church. So I saw on Sunday mornings that church had its doors wide open, and I would watch people go in and out of the church, and it seemed like a perfectly fine place. It was vaguely familiar to me. We had been to some services there growing up, but wasn't any strong connection. But it was there that I felt comfortable enough to walk in and sit in the very back pew, and for whatever reason I kept coming and ended up sort of staying at the church, getting involved. Somehow the Lord worked it so that my family might join me, my sister and my mom even. And then all of a sudden my family was going to church really actively, and got involved. And it happened over a few years, so it wasn't super quick. But around the age of 7 or 8, I was sitting in Sunday school with someone who is a familiar face here to many of you, Miss Jackie. And one day she had told us to go home and memorize John 3:16. So I did that, being the good student that I was. And I went home, memorized the verse, no Bible in the house, just had to keep repeating it over and over again. And then next Sunday, went to Sunday school. Miss Jackie asked who remembered it. And I don't think many of the kids did, but I raised my hand and I was able to recite the verse. And Miss Jackie proceeded to explain what that meant and more of the gospel. And it was there and then that the Lord really captured my heart, and truly that my life changed drastically. So it didn't necessarily change on the outside very much, but inside a lot of what I loved, what I believed, what I knew became unfamiliar to me. And a lot of beautiful things grew in those places. So my family remained super important to me. My family up and down throughout the years was able to heal, and then some hurts along the way. But it also remained important for me to explore. So I think as a young child, the Lord really instilled a desire to learn within me. Maybe primarily as a coping mechanism when I was young, but that's been a curiosity that has carried me now into adulthood, and I hope and pray continues to carry me. And so as time has gone on in my walk with the Lord, He's made it abundantly clear in the years that have come by, in the midst of family struggle and hardship and trial, that He has a life of adventure to offer, that He's called me to be a missionary to serve His kingdom in the world. that He's called me to love the nations that He has created, and each one of us that He has fearfully and wonderfully made, and is so intricately and divinely loved by Him. And so it's a true joy and honor to be here and back home and to be a missionary, to serve my current community where I was born and raised, which is so beautifully diverse and even different from what I knew after I went off to college and returned. But it's such a blessing to be here, a blessing to know the Lord and to share that love with others. And so He'll take me far on many more adventures. He protected me then, and He protects me now still. And I can't wait to see where He takes me. Bye.